After spending 2 glorious days in Kathmandu, we departed for the Tibetan capital, Lhasa. Puja Swamiji sprinkled holy water from Lake Mansarovar over all the yatris as we embarked for Tibet. The lush, verdant forests of Nepal gave way to the more arid and barren plains of Tibet as we climbed from Kathmandu to the high-altitude capital of Lhasa at 3,600 meters. Exuberant, enthusiastic, and slightly short of breath due to the altitude, the yatris entered the sacred land of Tibet. As we drive from the airport to the hotel, we absorb the beauty of the Holy Land and also of the sacred Brahmaputra River.
Indian people is more regarded to this verse very holy. The Indian god Shiva meditation in front of mountain Kailash. So he washed his body in Manasarva Lake. So this river is coming from Manasarva Lake.
After the 90-minute drive from the airport, we arrived at the Hotel Lhasa, the nicest and highest class lodging facility in the entire land of the Tibet Autonomous Region of China. Contrary to images and conceptions of abject poverty and forlorn inhabitants, the city of Lhasa seems much like any modern Asian metropolis. Despite the Chinese occupation and the exile of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the Tibetan people still actively and overtly practice their spiritual tradition of Buddhism, and nearly all of the important monuments and buildings from the Dalai Lama's time are kept intact and carefully preserved. The sight of spinning prayer wheels is common. With each turn of the wheel, the devotee has chanted the sacred mantra of Om Mani Padme Hum. Our first stop was Potala Palace, the greatest monumental structure in all of Tibet. Rising up to 300 meters above the city of Lhasa, the Potala Palace is said to be more than 1,300 years old, and it has over 1,000 rooms. This was the home of the Dalai Lama. Visiting the palace on the auspicious day of the Dalai Lama's birthday, we had a special prayer and meditation in the hall where he used to conduct his pujas and worship ceremonies. The palace used to be the seat of Tibetan government and housed, in addition to the Dalai Lama and his large staff, monks in training, as well as innumerable administrators and government officials. The palace continues to draw thousands of Tibetan pilgrims each day to have darshan of the Arvalakeshwar, the Potala's most revered statue. The language of love, divinity, and spirituality is universally understood. Local Tibetan Buddhists continue to worship in their traditional Buddhist style. Next, we visited the Jokhang Temple, the most revered man-made religious structure in Tibet. The temple lies at the center of Old Lhasa. The Dalai Lama and Panchen Lamas receive their initiation here in this temple.
All the Tibetan people, they should be see this statue because this statue is very holy. And Tibetan people believe the present you see this statue, next life is better than this life.
Pilgrims from across Tibet make the journey here to kindle lamps with yak butter and to pay their obeisances to the deities. Next, we had the darshan of the 600-year-old Drepung Monastery. Drepung used to be the world's largest monastery, with up to 10,000 monks residing at one time. Drepung is more than 200,000 square meters large and includes a main assembly hall, 4 tantric colleges, and the Ganden Palace.
This is a monastery where monks were trained, and as he said, there were many caves up behind that after they had their training here, they would go out in the caves and do meditation. There's a picture in there with the main deity of the Karamatma, who is the individual who's trained in certain meditation techniques that is responsible for divining and finding the next Dalai Lama after the 14th Dalai Lama.
There is still a large population of monks living here today, numbering several hundred. In a gesture of love, respect, and reverence, and as a bridge between cultures and religions, we sponsored tea and snacks for all of the lamas, as well as offered them shawls and dakshina. We may speak in different tongues, we may worship in different ways, we may wear different clothes, but we are linked and locked together as the children of God. Puja Swamiji's motto is, "Giving is living." He not only lives this motto, but teaches it to all his disciples and devotees. We shared not only money and shawls with the Buddhist monks, but we also shared the joy of music and dance. Our next sacred site was the Dalai Lama's summer palace, Norbulingka Palace. In 1959, the present Dalai Lama escaped from this palace as the Chinese troops invaded Tibet. It is a beautiful, colorful palace and the home of traditional opera festivals, as well as the annual Shotun Festival. The palace is built in traditional Tibetan style, but the current Dalai Lama built the additional new palace in 1954 to 1956.